Good evening, y'all. Welcome to Israel Vision. I hope everybody's doing well this week. Today, I wanted to get on here, as I continually every day, converse with the Most High and continually seek His guidance and wisdom. And as I'm also going through my own spiritual warfare and spiritual batters and spiritual battles, the Most High continues to bless me with the things that I need to keep going, and in hopes to be able to assist you guys. I come on here and share these things because, as we said in the last video, we know if we're of the same spirit, then collectively we're going through similar things. So I know if this is something that I'm dealing with, that it would be something that essentially would benefit others that are also sitting here by the Most High and that are also on the path. So today I wanted to go over patience. And as I was speaking in my last video. It had been a couple weeks, since the prior video before that. And prior to that one, it had also been a couple weeks. And I had also mentioned that I had been going through some serious spiritual warfare, some non-resistant spiritual warfare that I just had to deal with and I just had to pray through and get through. And one thing that God has given me this week is patience. If you look back in history, even at people, and let's not even say in the Bible, let's just talk about Maya Angelou. Let's talk about Malcolm X. Let's talk about some of the people that are looked up to in today's time that would have never been great had they not went through some seasons. If I'm not mistaken, both of the mentioned names, they didn't even become names or even partially successful till their 40s or 50s. If I'm not mistaken, they had to go through a lot of things that some would say were probably made them look backwards or didn't make them look like leaders or people of influence. And they had to go through many seasons and many processes to get to that point where they could be used. And so even aside from Bible references, we could take those to an account. We can say Colonel Sanders or KFC. If I'm not mistaken, that restaurant didn't get going until he was in his 70s. They say Sam Walmart, I want to say, didn't become successful till like his 50s or 60s. But a lot of big names in today's world, in today's society, whether it be names of arts and literature, whether they be names of movements, of leaders in certain movements, whether it be stores, whether it be restaurants, a lot of people don't become successful till their later years. And so also going back to maybe some biblical references, I looked up a few today, and God was saying, look at look what I gave you to look at. Like, look at the records that we left you guys to look at, one being the Bible. And he was like, look at the processes in those times, from the time that David was told he would be king to the time he actually became king. From the time where Joseph had the dreams to the times where the dreams actually started coming true. From the time where, Abraham and Sarah were told that they would have a child to the time that they actually had a child. From the time that Noah was told that he, was supposed to basically help preserve the world and there was a flood coming to the time he had a flood. Every one of those times wasn't just days. It wasn't just weeks. They were years. It was, I believe it said it was 13 years from the time that Joseph was sold into slavery up until the time of the 2 years of famine, or the 7 years of plenty and the 2 years of famine. There was like a 13-year period in between there. From the time when Abraham and Sarah were told that they would have Isaac to when they had him, it was about 40 years, because they were told like 40 and 50, and they didn't have Isaac till they were like 99 and 100. From the time that Noah was told, to build the ark to the time it rained was 120 years. From the time that King David was told he would be king, he was told at around the age 15, and he didn't become the king until 33. So it's like all of those instances, like those are years. And I'm like, can you imagine thinking that you heard a word from God saying there was a flood coming and it's 120 years later before it actually happens? Like, I can just imagine, I can see why at times I don't never question God, but sometimes I question my own, myself. and whether or not I'm hearing things correctly or seeing things correctly or receiving the revelations correctly, and God continues to confirm and continues to give me word and wisdom to continue and just enough to endure. But there is times where I question it. But could you imagine being told that there was rain coming and telling people, and for 120 years, you're being called crazy because it's never rained from the sky? Like, I could just imagine what people before, have felt. And so I was saying all this to say, like I know God gave me a word 2 years ago, and I'm just going to share my personal, the original word God gave me was to put the message in the music. It wasn't even necessarily to get on here on YouTube and talk, but I've started this too. And that is going to actually go into my next video that I'm going to try to put out tomorrow about the talents, because he gives us all different talents. And there's actually a parable in the Bible about talents, which is speaking about, if I'm not mistaken, money. But you can actually use the word for today as in the talents God gives you as well. But anyways, going forward. So, but my original word was basically, he was saying that your purpose, you're basically supposed to put the message in the music. Like, your part of your job is to create music with the message in it. And that was 2 years ago that he said that to me. Now, mind you, I had just gotten back like from healing and being ran over. I still wasn't really walking like 100%. I had put on a lot of weight. I still have a lot of that weight on me. And I'm at this point, which I was 32 then, at this point, I'm 34 years old. And I'm looking around and I'm basically getting to what I'm saying, that was put in me 2 years ago. And so I actually have created a couple songs since then. I've paid for a couple to be mixed and mastered. And I have a million, like literally a million in my head. Like, you could just put a beat on and I can write a song in like 5 minutes. So God just, he did that for a reason. But I haven't been really like necessarily putting 100% into that, because I do have a full-time job and have other things going on, not to mention my healing, mind, body, and soul. I have a lot of things that I am working on, and there's a lot of generational curses that I was sent here to break. And there was a lot of things that I've endured and traumas that I've picked up over my life that I am deflating from and deprogramming from. So like, there's so many things that are happening, and I start to get into a place of, am I tripping? Is that really what I'm supposed to do? Because here we are 2 years later, and I'm over here starting a YouTube channel. Like, I went and performed a couple times on Freema. I've created a few songs, but now I'm over here doing YouTube, and like basically went down to 3 days a week and have been trying to get, different things going. But it's just like, it's almost like some things are by choice and then some things are not by choice. Some things are just led into the direction that they're going. And I start to look around and I say, God, was I tripping? Am I not? Or like, even to the point of maybe I'm not tripping, but am I not doing what I'm supposed to do? Like, is this not, am I on the wrong path? And, it's like this. I keep looking at it as what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, or what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And God was like, no, it's not about what you can do, because what you can do is nothing. It's about what I, as God, can do and bless in your life. He was like, it doesn't matter where you think that you're at, because at any second I can change your whole life. So it was like, God was like, in an instance, I can change everything. Like, 1 minute could be one way, and in the next minute I can cause you to gain inheritance that you weren't even aware of. So it's never about where you think you're at or what you think you're doing. Now, at the same time, during that stage, while we're waiting on what God promised us to transpire, we are still in a process, and we still have to put the steps forward that align with those things. Like, it's like faith without works is dead. It's not about what you can do, because it's about what God can do. But at the same time, you still have to align yourself, with the things that God is giving you, especially if you, if you were sent for this, and if you're on this path, 9 times out of 10, you're searching out God and you're searching out what it is you're supposed to do. So you're already going to be wanting to align yourself. But you have to also put in the work. So you also have to put in the work that's necessary and that aligns with what you know that you were given. It's like a collaboration, because he's still, there's no God's will in free will, but God gives us the free will. And in that free will, we can either choose to continue in free will or we can choose God's will. But within God's will, it's like a collaboration, because we have to continually choose God. It's not like one day you say, okay, God, I want you, and then that's it. No, you have to continue to choose God. And that's why it also says in the book, you have to work at your salvation with fear and trembling. Like it's a, and I don't want to confuse anybody. But once you're God's, you're always God's, but you still have to continue to, collaborate and make the right choices that align with, what God is and who God is. So, these are, I guess you can say, the simplest things of God confound the wisest men type of things, because it's like that. It goes back to that balance thing where it's not contradictory, but it's this and it's also this, kind of like an anomaly. Like, like going back to what I was saying about how, God could change our life in an instant. So someone can say, well, why does it even matter if you collaborate or not? Well, because that's part of the, I guess you can say that's part of the public, like symbolism of like, I'm one of God's. It's the public announcement of who you are, which is why it's so important to walk a certain way and to make sure you're doing business in a certain way and to make sure you're representing yourself a certain way. Because if you're an ambassador of the kingdom of God, there's a certain way that you need to be. So I guess that would be the perfect answer to that. It's the public appearance, or not appearance, because it's not an appearance, it's from the heart, but I guess it's your public display of your faith in God. And that's why it's important to also do the things that are needed while you're waiting on the processes to be complete, and while you're waiting on God's promise to fully come to fruition. That is why it's important to continually analyze yourself and continually take away the old man and put the new things in that are necessary. And it's a constant battle, which is why it says to watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation, for the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. A righteous man falls 7 times, and righteousness is not the lack of sin, but the uncomfortability with it. All have fallen short, will never be perfect, but it is a continual thing to strive. But my main thing to get on here was to basically say to those of you out there that know that you are sent for something, that might have already had something put in you by God, where you might not be fully clear of it, but you know that God has something for you to do. If you don't feel like your life is aligning right now, if you are questioning, if you are wondering, keep the faith, endure, keep working on what you need to work on to further align yourself with the Most High and the things that He is expecting from us, and keep working on the things that will align with the purpose that He's given you. If you're not fully clear on the purpose yet, just start doing the things that are necessary, whether it be getting healthier, building your endurance, your stamina, whether it be making sure you have a better skincare routine, like whatever it is that's going to assist you on your healing process. So that way, when you are put out there in the spotlight or put out there in a leadership position, that way you are in a proper, fully healed being, in a proper frame of mind. Your body's healed to where you can continue to carry out the purpose and you're not sick and unable to do what God needs you to do. There's just all these things where, yes, we know God can heal in a second. Yes, we do know that God can change everything in an instant. But remember, this is our outward profession of our faith in Him. Faith without works is dead. So we want to be doing things that people can see, like, no, hey, she's on it. He's got it. He's getting himself in order. He's eating healthier. He's praising God. Like, you want to do things that have people know that you serve a living God. You don't want to be sick and dying and saying, oh, I'm praising God. No, like that doesn't even make sense. So it's just like, and in a sense, it goes back to frequencies and vibrations. And We know a lot of people have disconnected everything, but you got to remember, everything goes back to one. Everything goes back to the Most High. Even the frequencies and vibrations. That's literally that's where everything is from. That's what everything is created from, is sound. You know, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So it's like, all of these things don't disconnect, they only connect. So even going back to frequency and vibration, you want to be at a proper, you want to match the frequency that you want to be at. You want to vibrate at the levels you want to be at. You don't want to, if you're trying to, heal and get to a better place in life, you're not going to continue constantly going to McDonald's. And that's something I'm saying to myself. You know, like, that doesn't make sense. If you know that you're trying to heal, it's not going to make sense to continue to go to McDonald's and not exercise. Like, that's the opposite. So it's all about the collaboration, the outward profession, and of course, basically matching the frequency that you're supposed to be at. So with all that being said, I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. I am going to put out another video tomorrow on the talents, because it actually ties in with this one, and that's a whole nother word within itself. But I wanted to get this one out, and I wanted to let anybody know, anybody out there who is also going through the stage of the process where I am at, where it doesn't look anything like what you were told. I want you to know to keep the faith, continue on your journey, continue to ask the Most High for guidance and wisdom, and just hang on. It says that you must endure for a reason. The word endure implicates that there's some type of struggle or hardship. It means it's not going to necessarily be easy. You got to remember that anointing comes with the price. The oil ain't cheap. This is got to be worked for. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. And until next time, don't forget to shine your lights.